I wanted to take a few minutes to cover some things here. I made a little list, so I'm not just rambling. I want to cover certain subjects and move on. Figured to make this video a little more interesting because I'm kind of rambling on here, but I want to cover some things that I think are important. Motor sport, but things that I think everybody who wants to go out and do drag racing, things that they should be looking at, and things that are just leading me down the rabbit hole of what I think I should be doing versus like I'm talking to people, asking their opinion and what they're suggesting that I do and like why they suggest certain things. So I'll start off. First thing I did, I was going to stick with the factory seats in this thing because honestly, like everyone else, I just wanted to throw this thing together, get out there and start racing. And the factory seat belts that were in this were like you know, dried up leather. They were so stiff and everything. I wound up cutting them out, and I was like, well, I'll worry about seat belts later. I was just gonna get like newer like junkyard seat belts and use those. And then I wound up, further on down the road, I wound up installing these bucket seats, which have all the spots for like a 4-point, 5-point harness, and it's just a lot easier just to install a harness. But the proper way to install the harness would be to have the roll cage in here and have the bar behind the seats to where the straps that go across your shoulders, it connects to that bar back there. And I really was not wanting to put a roll cage in this, but I kept talking to people and I'm trying to get more and more familiar with the NHRA handbook. And everybody's like, oh yeah, as soon as you hit that, the tens, you got to have a roll cage. They tell you, you can't go anymore. You got to put a roll cage in it. It's like, I was like, well, yeah, but that won't happen my first year. This won't be that fast. And they're like, yeah, it'll come up quicker than you think, And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be faced with. I'm just getting into this hobby. You know what I mean? This is the first drag race vehicle I'm putting together. I don't want to get into it, start having fun with it, and then have that major hurdle, in my opinion, of tearing everything back apart just to put a roll cage in so I can continue on. And in the past like 2 weeks, I kind of convinced myself that I need a roll cage in this thing so I can put the seat belts in. And when it comes time to me breaking that 10-second 1099, I'm good. The next hurdle is how do I install this cage, and it has to be certified. It has to be inspected. It has to be approved by NHRA so I can get on the track and use it, and it be fine. And I know I could just bring it somewhere and have a welder do everything and it'll be all right, but I'm working on a budget. I don't have the money to just pay somebody thousands of dollars to install this thing. I have the skill, I have the equipment, I just need the knowledge of how to install it. So I've been researching online on the the NHRA handbook of how this has to be installed, and I'm learning surprisingly that the for the sportsman's class and the next one, the next bracket above that where it gets faster, there's not like they're kind of loose with their requirements as far as how, for example, if I use cold rolled steel tubing, schedule 80 tubing, it can be MIG welded together. I don't have to use a TIG welder. If it's chromoly tubing, it's a little more lightweight tubing, a little more expensive, but you have to TIG weld it together. So either one of those is fine. I did wind up purchasing a Schedule 80, DOM, I think they call it, roll cage from Jegs, a 10-point, and that can be MIG welded together. So the next thing is, how do I install this? It came with floor plates, and I just want to make sure I'm staying on task here. It came with floor plates, and I was watching other videos of how are people doing this, because obviously I used to do roll cages. Now we're talking back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I used to do roll cages for like rally cars. It was like a SCCA kind of thing where the inspection on the cages wasn't critiqued as hard as it is for NHRA, as far as like they just look at it and say, okay, you have one. They did have certain things like you had to have the forward hoop, you had to have door bars, 3 of them, in case of a side impact, you know, or rollover. Basically, is what they were focusing on. But the door basically had to be gutted, and the bars had to go into the door, and you had to have the cage and everything as tight to the body as you could. So in an event of a rollover in the rally cars, you don't want the body to start crumbling to get that little bit of momentum and then touch the cage. It had to be right up against the cage, which also meant, and if you ever watched rally, they gusseted between the cage and the body to make it as stiff as you could. That's getting off subject, but I used to do that, and it's like, well, you know, I used to do that for those cars. I can definitely do it for this, but the cage that I got came with the floor plates, and we used to build boxes, like 2-inch tall boxes, and you take the top of the box lid off. That's how you drop the cage down in those rally cars to weld the tops of the cages. And I was talking to a couple people that are a little familiar with these cages, and they're like, no, you know, you have to use the floor plates. You can't use the boxes, you know. And so I was like, all right. I referred back to the NHRA handbook, and this Blazer has a full-length factory frame. You have to tie the cage into the frame, and I'll probably screenshot where it says that in there. For whatever reason, I haven't figured out how to print the handbook yet. I have to. It's a HTML file. It's not even a file. It's just online. I haven't figured out how to save it. I have to look at it on the computer. I'm not that guy. I want to print it out and look at it, you know, highlight stuff. Haven't figured out how to print it out yet, and the handbook isn't available for some reason to like buy. So I don't know. It's weird, but I'll see if I can screenshot that and insert it in the video here, where it says it has to be welded to the frame. So I got to figure that out. That's I haven't started doing any of that yet. But another thing is it talks about like where your helmet is in position and how far back the cage has to be. There's requirements there. You can't, like, if I go to this A pillar where like everybody else is doing it, it's right here above me. I can't have that. It has to be back a little further. So I have to take a bunch of measurements. Kind of why I wanted the seats in here to begin with, because this is perfect for me. As far as, well, I'm a little far away here. There we go. There we go. Perfect for me for where I welded the shifter and my feet to the pedals and, you know, my position to the steering wheel. You know, now I can measure where the main hoop goes in the vehicle. So that's like my next step. Hopefully this coming up week I can start welding the cage in this. That's kind of, I haven't painted the interior yet. I'm switching from power windows to manual crank windows. I did want to keep the power windows so I could roll them down as I'm backing up and get some of the smoke out of here. But these regulators, the motors are bad. So I kind of have to go with the manual crank, which I can reach. Well, I don't know. With the harness on, I might not be able to reach that door now, but you know, that's for another time. But anyway, that's safety aspect of everything. I don't want to go backwards into this. Start getting to where I need to worry about safety aspects and it be an afterthought. I want to do the safety stuff first, and you know, I can go into it with confidence that I'm as safe as I can possibly be up to their standards, and I'm ready to go. So that's that. All right. The next thing is tuning. I wanted to go off of the factory PO1 computer and use HP tuners, and I don't have the Pro version where you pay basically, well, it's all gone through the roof for some reason. I paid like $250 for my HP tuners. I have the MVPI 2. It's not the Plus. You can get the Pro, which is another $250, and that like unlocks, well, you can do real-time tuning without the Pro, but I guess the Pro allows, in conjunction with the real-time tuning and a wideband sensor, it does like a version of auto-tune. So I was on their website looking around for where to buy that at, and it just wasn't available. And you know, I'm on Facebook on HP Tuners, like their help thing, And I guess what's happening, I'm unaware of this because I haven't turned my HP tuners on and looked at it in probably a month now. Last time I messed with it was my red truck. I got is when I put those injectors in. I had to switch from, you know, the 35-pound injectors, whatever it comes from, to the 60-pound injectors, and then I did the real-time tuning just enough to like move the truck around my property here. I've never had it on the street, so I was like, well, you know, once I get this pro version, then I can do the real-time tuning. I can get the red truck running and get this going, and you know, now they're doing a thing where like, because I on the red truck I have all of the emission stuff shut off and it's not error reporting or nothing, and now they're saying something happened with the EPA and something with the government. I don't know what happened, but you have to take a class. You cannot do anything with emissions on HP tuners unless you take some sort of a class, which I haven't even looked into. Which I might do it. I got to figure out what the prerequisites are for me to take this class. I don't know, but you know, it's just another hurdle, an unnecessary hurdle in my opinion. And right away, like I have a lot of experience with like Megasquirt version 1, 2, and a little bit of 3. And I was like, well, you know, if I'm gonna have that much of a pain in the butt, I'll just do Megasquirt. And I started talking to a friend of mine who does avidly race, and he was like, don't waste your time with anything. Just get the Holly, get the Terminator, and be done with it. You know. And I started thinking about it a lot, and I might add this stuff into this video here, but I've already ordered the Innovate PSN1, which is a power safe nitrous controller. That doesn't do anything for tuning. All it does is shut the system off if it goes lean. That was expensive. I got the Lingenfilter, the LNC 1000 or whatever it's called. That's a timing retarder and launch controller. And then I still needed some kind of I was going to get a bump box, which I don't need yet with just being nitrous, but some sort of a bump box for the trans brake to get on the line. Like I said, running just naturally aspirated with nitrous, you don't need none of that, the bump box stuff, but it's something, again, later down the road I would have to purchase and add in. So we're talking about system upon system, and my friend is like, you know, Holly can do all of this stuff. It's already in one box. You just wire it in the inputs, and you know, have the outputs, control relays, whatever you need to hook it up to, and that's it. Like, why mess with all these other things? You know, and I started thinking about it. It's like, here I am buying all of these other peripheral devices, and I really don't need it. So I've talked myself into getting one of those. I got the Holly Terminator coming, so I'm getting everything you know, lined up. The next step would be, after I get the roll cage in here, get the harnesses in, get the interior together, get it painted, get the engine in, transmission's not even together. I still have to put that together. I just want to make sure I'm on task with what I wrote down. And I did write down, you know, I'm starting off with nitrous. I've never had a nitrous vehicle. I want to experience it. That's kind of why I'm going that direction. But I see myself in, after, like, maybe after 1 year of racing, I'll probably go turbo, and that Terminator X can accommodate all the turbo stuff. And I don't even really have to change anything. I don't have to change, you know, hardware at all. I can literally just tell the Terminator that, you know, now it's got boost and tune for the boost also. So that's what I wrote down here. But you know, as far as continuing on with the build of this truck, I'm pretty well on task. I wanted to get this done by the end of September, but because of these things that I'm adding on to it, and it's for good measure, like I said, it's for safety. In case something happens, the roll cage, I think that's going to be a huge thing. I also got an engine diaper. I've seen a lot of guys, you know, put something through their pan, and something I never thought about. I worried about, you know, the safety for others, but what if that oil gets on my own tires and it puts me into a wall? You know, it's kind of, you know, I'm buying it for myself really, but I got the engine diaper. You know, I'm getting everything lined up to where I can get this truck together. Hopefully by the end of October. We're already, I think, 2 weeks in. Was it 10th or whatever? I want to get this running by the end of October. We might be going into November. I don't know, but I got to check. You know, we're right around the corner from Gainesville. They always do the test and tunes. Hopefully, I can get out there and start doing those. I don't know. I got to get some experience first. Um, Once I get some seat time and get down the track a few times and make sure nothing's wrong with this truck, you know, then maybe I can start getting into some competitions at some level, an entry level, and get me comfortable with, you know, being on the track with another car. You know what I mean? So there's guys out there that know how to read the other car. If they think the other car is not safe, you know, they know the other guys and what their plans are, and you know, if they think they're going to overpower the car and put it into your lane, you know, they'll try to run faster or slower just to get the car. You know, I don't have that intuition yet. You know what I mean? I don't have those instincts. I'm a newbie to this. You know what I mean? So anyway, I wanted to get this video out there. I don't know how much time I've got on here, but I just wanted to talk about those things, what I'm doing, what I'm planning. I might show you know, some clips of the things that I've got, and you know, some of the things, like I said, the controllers and whatnot that I'm going to abandon. I don't know. We'll talk about that later on, but my next video is going to be me putting the cage in this thing, and you know, how I'm going to go about it, and actually going through the steps and getting the NHRA inspectors out here to get the cage certified so I'm legal on the track. So those are like my next couple things that I'm going to do over the next couple weeks. So that's what we got to look forward to. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.